Hello, Spookies! Welcome back to the Rick Retreat Horrorcast, hosted by yours ghoulie, Ricky J. Duarte. Today I'm joined by a very special guest. I'm so excited to have her on today. She is a writer, a horror aficionado, a podcaster herself, and I mean, truly, I'm going to say a scholar of the horror genre. Today we are featuring Sharai Bohannon. Hi, Sharai.
Hi, I'm so honored to be here and to hear that opening. Oh my God. Are you available to introduce me for everybody forever and always?
Absolutely. I'll send you my writer.
Thank you.
Sharai and I met, I guess, a little over a year ago. I was putting together here in New York City a horror-based theatrical project, and a mutual friend of ours suggested Sharai as a playwright, and you wrote this really cool short play, and unfortunately, due to unfortunate events, the company kind of folded, and it wasn't able to take place, and it breaks my heart. Maybe one day it'll be resurrected, but I hope that piece got to be put to use. Have you submitted it for anything?
I keep meaning to look at it again and then put a new play exchange. That's how a lot of people find me as a playwright, because the babies are on New Play Exchange. I say the babies. They're like in college.
Yeah.
These young adults who've not made all the mistakes we have yet are out here finding plays, and that's how they usually get me, because they're like, what is this weird shit? Are these black people? Are these black women doing weird shit? Because I write a lot of dark comedies, and I write a lot of genre pieces, because that's where I live. There's a lot of overlap for people who don't know. Scream is a dark comedy. I'm sorry if this is news to you.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of our favorites are dark comedies.
Are there people that don't understand that when they watch it?
They don't want to. I'm out like Petty Freddy taught us how to throw shade, everybody. Get on board. But they don't want to hear it. They're like, no, I'm a horror purist. I'm like, you're not as purist as you think you are. No. So the babies find me over there, and they're usually like, hey, professor, teacher, guidance counselor, we should do this weird name. She's got a bevy of plays I want to play with. And so I am only making money as a playwright because of the youth, and I own that, and I'm happy to do that, because it means I'm still viable, and I'm still as young as I think I am.
Well, I do believe the children are our future.
Listen, let them especially die in pieces.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your credits? I mean, you are a contributor. Why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Yes, I am a contributing writer at Dread Central. That's my home base. Most of the horror pieces I write for the Sphere go up there. I have one in Fangoria, which is personal. And as personal things are, it was also very timely, because right after I wrote it, I had a family situation that came up, and I was like, I'm happy I started processing on Fangoria's website before I had to fly in and deal with it head on. Wow. And I also have 3 horror podcasts, because I grew up watching horror and I love talking about it too much, and I also have insomnia. So another podcast is born almost every other month. But I am one half of A Nightmare on Fear Street. I am 1/3 of Flirty Massacre, and I am 1/9 or 10th of The Alter Tapes. That's rotating hosts, but we talk about alter shorts, and that's where a lot of the people who don't get a break in Hollywood can actually practice their art, because it's hard for people who are not cis straight white men to get produced, and so a lot of the people that we want to see are doing shorts, and so you should get into the alter situation and listen to the alter tapes, because we're talking about these people who deserve a chance, and maybe the more we talk and tweet about them, the better it'll be for them.
I think that's so cool. I mean, I've been listening to Nightmare on Fear Street since I met you, and I only recently discovered the other 2. You're such a I don't want to make you blush or flatter you, but we're such an inspiration to me getting going with my own podcast.
I love that, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Covisha has been hard on all of us to different degrees. But I think one of the things that she did give us is this ability to look and see, like, what am I holding myself back from?
Yes.
Because
Oh my God, yes.
we were all like, I need the gatekeeper to tell me I can do this. We don't. We need
Mm-mm.
Zoom and a computer. I've taught so many like little like one-off sessions on like podcasting. Like, do you have a computer or a phone? You have an iPhone, I'm sure. We all do. Do you know how to Google Anchor? Well, then you have a podcast. And if you
Yeah.
like it, then you can like beef it up and like do more bells and whistles and like buy more things later after you know you're into it and you have a following. But like people care about you having fun and you being consistent. And that's what I tell people. If you can be consistent and have fun, you have a podcast.
And those are really value. I mean, this is, I think, going to be the 9th episode plus a mini-sode that I put out. And like the consistent factor is so important. And I realized it because now that I have a podcast, and I do nothing but listen to podcasts, I scarcely listen to music anymore. And so now I'm not like critiquing, but I'm analyzing other podcasts that I listen to. And the factors are, it is consistent. They're kind of similar run times every episode. And, you know, and it's a lot of work. And I knew that going in, but I didn't know it was going to be this much work, especially not having a consistent co-host. Let me tell you. Oh my God. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm so grateful that you're here. I mean, I've been blessed and fortunate to have people every week so far who are excited to appear. I'm dreading the day that my my bank is tapped.
But at the same time, this is like your 9th episode, so you have people listening already. So you can easily put out on social medias, "Hey, I'm looking for a guest to record on blah blah," and people will show up. Like,
And I've really thought about that because it's so interesting watching kind of the numbers every week of people who listen and also where in the world they are. That's mind blowing to me. I mean, I'm so happy to have listeners in India or Ireland, the UK, and I have no idea how you found me, but I'm so grateful that you did.
I feel so special and so seen because like all of my podcasts, even if it's not my identity, I want to make sure that people feel seen.
Yes.
And so like I think actually on all of my podcasts there is somebody who is identifying as somewhere in like the LGBTQ a plus umbrella, because I'm like, that's not what I am here for, but also most of my friends are, so it makes sense that we talk about movies from both of these lenses, if nothing else. Like, if nothing else, like my black femme lens and like their queer lens, let's go. And it's just kind of fun to see these countries where like things are not great for people in that community, and they're finding our podcast. And I'm like, maybe we are like 5 minutes of joy every other day or whatever for these people, and that's fucking awesome. That's all it is. That's fine, because like a podcast is a part-time job you don't get paid for, basically.
Tell me about it. I will stop you when you're wrong. Oh my! And you know what? And I will say you're totally right. I often feel like I learn things listening to your podcast because you have such a vast array of different people talking about the common subject that we're all passionate about, which is horror. And I really truly appreciate how you kind of curate your guests. And it's probably just people around you and the people that you surround yourself who are all wonderful.
We lucked out because we were foolish babies when we started, and we had a forum, and we were like, if you want to be on our show, let us know. People on Twitter want to be on everybody's show. So we are still tapping that bank. We are down to like 20-ish people, maybe 15-ish people. And we've decided, just for our own mental health and our own sanity, to like take a season, which will be our spring season, 2023. Yes, spring 2023, we're going to have less guests. Like, we'll have a couple of guests for certain things because, like, we know some of them are, like, bigger names we want to head on forever, or people who we already started, like, the Scream journey with. But for the most part, it's going to be just, like, me and Trent, so we can just, like, record them and be done with them, as opposed to being like, we've scheduled this already. Plus, it gives us, like, the flexibility to be like, this movie's not our mission statement, so we shouldn't do it, as opposed to we have a guest attached, so we got to do it. Because those episodes feel so weird. Like, people say they like them, but they just feel so weird to be like, I didn't know when we chose this that this was going to make me feel this way, and now I hate it.
Yeah, curating a season is so interesting. I'm kind of going month by month for themes. Like, November is really my favorite summer movies that I didn't have a podcast in the summer to talk about. Yes. Right? December, I'm doing a couple holiday movies. January is probably going to be like depressing horror movies because of the post-holiday blues. So I'm doing that. I haven't decided the length of my seasons yet, but I definitely feel like I need to instate that and then maybe have like running themes for them. It's a learning process, right?
It is. And again, as long as you're consistent and you have fun, that's all that matters. Because you
Yes.
can take however much time you need off. But as far as the listeners are concerned, if you were having fun, you were hitting them on that same date every time, and you're like, I'm going away for, they will come
Right, right,
back.
right.
Some of my friends, because like when you like get into horror Twitter, like it's mostly like 30 podcasters and 18 contributing writers. That's it. That's horror Twitter.
Yeah. Right, right, right.
You get a couple of filmmakers who will pop in once in a while to be like, "Do you want to interview me?" And we're like, "Yes, Josh Rubin, yes."
Cool. Man, I just deleted Twitter. I can't do it. I never liked it. I never understood it anyway. Like I never knew how to use it. And now I'm worried that no one's ever going to find my podcast again because I don't have Twitter anymore.
Twitter is that unnecessary evil that is necessary because, again, I am a playwright. I'm trying to break into TV. I have 3 podcasts, and I am writing for Dread Central mostly, but I am also a freelancer. And so if Twitter were to go away, which I don't think it will, but if it were to go away, like people are saying, I would just disappear. Which is unfortunate because, like, I've survived MySpace. I've survived LiveJournal. I had a brief fling with Tumblr. But, like, unfortunately, Twitter is the one where it's, like, people really find me there. Like, people who I don't even think are like reading my articles find me because I'll make a streaming guide and I'm like, these are streaming guides, they're fine. And the filmmakers will reach out to be like, thank you for including us in your streaming guide. I really laughed, or I really enjoyed it, or thank you for watching my movie. And I'm like, are you serious? You care about me, a whole me? I'm just.
That's so cool. No, it has been a great connecting and networking tool. Who knows what the future holds? I don't know. I may end up having to pop back on, but for now I'm exploring different avenues, right?
People are going to Hive. I don't know if I'm young enough to do Hive.
Okay.
I'm
That's how I feel about TikTok.
I was starting to get used to TikTok, and then last week she asked me my age, and I was like, "You want too much from me," and I was like, "No,
Yeah.
I won't give it to her," and so I'm just sort of locked out. And my friends are sending me things. I see the notifications, but I can't open them. But I'm like, "You don't need to know that. You don't need to know that."
I've said this like 3 episodes in a row now. I've discovered Letterboxd and I'm obsessed with it, and it's a little bit of a social network platform too. So I'm working on dedicating a little more time to that because I really like how you can curate your own taste of movies, and then it makes recommendations based on that. I think it's interesting.
I have a secret letterbox. I don't write reviews over there because like I unfortunately have the misfortune of being a Black woman on the internet. And so like I am always about to be argued with by somebody. And so I just put like how many stars it is and I leave it there. Gotcha. And nobody knows I have it. But like when I do an article, I'm like, what are people watching on Letterboxd? I can like go in easily because I already have the account to be like, ooh, that's what they're watching. Let me pull that quote. Because cool. Again, Twitter saves lives. I randomly had an idea a few months ago. I don't know time in this decade. And I was like, hey, y'all, I'm figuring something out. If you have a letterbox and you write reviews, you're comfortable with me like quoting, please drop your link. And then I went to my editors at Dread Central and I was like, I'm thinking of doing something. And we like workshopped it a little bit and we ended up with like a really good, here's the most popular movies of this decade so far. And we could pull quotes from people. Like not everybody was in the horror community because some of them were just people who ran across my tweet and was like, I want to be tweeted if you're going to do that. I want to be quoted. And so it was really good to have people I don't know, mixing them with people I do know, mixing them with people who are bigger than I knew they were. And they're all just talking about movies because like at the end of the day, we are all nerds and we get to nerd out together.
Big old nerds, definitely. Why don't we take a little hold on talking about social media? And I just want to ask, I like to ask people, was your week this week like a trick or a treat?
This is tricky for me, Ricky. See what I did there? I
love it. That was my nickname. That was my nickname in my house, Tricky Ricky.
As it should be. So this is my first full week back after my like trip in London that I shouldn't have taken, but I did because I'm that bitch. I was like, I have another credit card. I'm going to London. And so I did that. And so this is my first week back. And it's always weird adjusting because you're like, why didn't I just stay and figure it out? I could stay for 6 months before they say anything. But also like it's been cool because one of my editors is out at Dread Central, and so I get to do a little bit more of the news coverage, and that's fun learning about that and getting away from what I normally do, which is streaming guides and reviews.
Wow.
I'm just like, this seems like something people might be interested in. Can we talk about it? And they're like, yeah. Or they're like, here's a cool thing. And I'm like, I didn't know this existed. I want to know more about that. And I go down a rabbit hole and I find out too much information. And they're like, that's all cool. Can you put it in the same article? I'm like, I will find a way. And so it's fun professionally, but personally, I'm like, I came back to Minnesota in the winter for,
Right.
for why?
Well, the gorgeous thing about what you do is you can work remotely. So I don't know, go back to London anytime you want. That sounds wonderful.
I think I have to. What they don't tell you when you're a poor kid is that a lot of the places you think you want to go to, they're not super expensive. You're told they're expensive, but like eating out and drinking or whatever in London is the same as like Chicago and New York.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I've never been.
Listen, the Airbnb. Okay, so like this time I was lucky that I had a friend who was there for 2 months and she had an extra bed, so I stayed there, which is why I had to go in November. But like when I went last time, I caught like an Airbnb near the West End because I was like seeing shows. I was seeing shows back then, and it wasn't that bad, especially if you go in the off months, which is like the winter season. Like you can. I was looking at flights the other day because I came back and I was like, why did I come back? For a round trip in March, to spend the whole month of March in London, it was under $1,000 from Minneapolis.
Oh,
so I know
wow.
it's cheaper for New York and people on like the coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got your passport and you just want to like go.
Well, and I have a friend in England, friend of the pod, Shauna. Shout out to Shauna. Hey, girl. Who I don't think she lives too far from London, and she's given me an open invitation to visit. So,
do it,
Shauna. Pull out the sofa bed. I might be on my way soon.
Because again, every time I come back, I'm a little bit more bitter that I live in America. Like, just a little bit. I'm a marinade now this time. Like,
I getcha.
Yeah.
I getcha. Oh man. All right. Well, I'm adding that to the list of not so long-term goals. I've seen all of America. I've seen so much of this country. It's insane. I need to see the world now, you know?
Do it. Go.
My week's been a trick. I have had the flu. So as I was recording last week's episode, I could feel myself getting sicker and sicker. And I think as you listen, you can hear me get worse and worse and worse. And it hit me. I mean, I had to lay down. I felt it wash over me like a wave. Has that ever happened? You feel yourself get hit with this flu? And I was playing the game of, do I have the flu or do I have COVID? Which one is it? Went to the doctor and it's just, you know, it was the flu. Anyway, I feel a lot better now. But missing work and having taken a vacation a couple weeks ago and missing work for that. And then my cat is, he's got some vet stuff going on. So it's going to be a meager holiday season, which is fine. It's fine. I've got this podcast to keep me me occupied. It's the gift of this podcast.
People don't understand. Like, podcasts are a lot of work, but they keep us so grounded and so connected that it's often worth it. Because again, I have 3. Nobody needs 3. Don't do 3. But like, each one gives me something that I just need. Like like, I love all of them for different reasons, and I don't want to let them go. And it's a problem because I keep saying I need to downsize just because I always do too much. But I don't want to let those go.
No, because here's the thing. It is work that I am willing to do for free. Yes. I mean, which the goal is to get paid for it. That's not easy, but it's not impossible. You know, It's like I'm kind of building a portfolio, right? Like, I'm a contributing writer for spoilerfreereviews.com. And so most of my reviews are about horror. And so, you know, I'm putting together this portfolio of horror film reviews, you know, a podcast, eventually a YouTube channel. And then one day I want to appear on the Chainsaw Awards like you did on Shudder. Yeah, I saw you this year.
I was so shook when they asked me. I was like, "Are you sure you have the right person?" Like-
so good, so good. I mean, you write for Dread Central and Fangoria. These are publications. I have a stack of my Fangoria subscription literally right here. Like The Weeknd is staring me in the face because he was on the cover a couple months ago.
It's funny you brought that one up because last night I was like, do I know there was a second scare package? And like the editor-in-chief of Fangoria was like, it was in our last article. It was on our last issue. And they're like, no, it wasn't. Jamie Lee Curtis was on there and it was not in there. And he's like, it was. And he like showed it to me. And I was like, that's the one I didn't open because I was afraid of Nope spoilers, and I still haven't opened it. Thank you.
Yeah, and so it's an interesting, as we're talking about Nope, there is a whole section about Gordy's house, as though it's a real sitcom, and then they go into special, you got it right there, mine's under a bunch of, come on, Weekend. Oh no, it's under a candelabra. I can't do it. There's a whole section about the special effects makeup done in this film as well, which there's not a lot of it, but the makeup that's there is effective. We'll get to that. Why don't we? I have one more quick question I love to ask first time guests as well. I call it your horror route, or like, what is the movie that got you started in the game?
Oh my God, this is such a hard question because I started hating them Fast and Furious as a child because like I was number 6 of 8 children. So I had like 5 older brothers by the time I was born, and there was 11-year age gap. So I was like, if they can watch horror movies, why can't I? Is this sexism, Mom? Is this sexism? And so I started like watching them because she could not keep arguing with me. And so I don't know what was first. I know that like there was a lot of Michael Myers, there was a lot of Pumpkinhead, there was a lot of Kitty.
He's gonna do this the whole time. I can't. If I stop him, it's a problem.
As it should be. There was a lot of Chucky. There was a lot of Friday 13th, but I don't know. I don't know who was first anymore.
Yeah.
I just know the staples, and so like I'm like, oh yeah, I saw those, but I don't know what was the first movie, and I hate that because I want to know because like it's a good question, and people ask it all the time. I'm like, one of these 20.
Well, those are great. I mean, you listed a bunch of great, starting points for anybody anyway. So I think the first one I ever remember seeing was the original King Kong when I was like a wee babe. I was tiny and it made me afraid of the gorilla at Chuck E. Cheese who plays the keyboard. I was so afraid of it. But Halloween is the one that, really stuck with. It's the first time that I just remember being obsessed,
Michael Myers, my second imaginary friend as a child. Freddy Krueger was the first, and Freddy talked too much, so I switched over to Michael, and that tells me a lot about myself as a person every time
You're
I say
a fucking
it.
weirdo.
No, because I'd be like, me and Freddy are doing this, me and Freddy are doing that, and nobody was like, we should be concerned.
See, I was the opposite. I used to run around pretending to be Jamie Lee Curtis, like screaming and moaning and like being weird in my house. My parents were really... I also used to play Titanic, and I would run around my house pretending like I was running from water on the Titanic.
Listen, I was running towards Leonardo DiCaprio at that point in time.
Okay.
I'm too old to know. Like, back then, it was...
Well, you were under 26 at the time, so you probably had a chance then.
Talk to me back then. Now he's like, I'm at 25? No.
No. Well, listen, why don't we... I keep saying every week I'm going to make these episodes more succinct, and then I can't stop talking to my wonderful guests. Why don't we get into the film at hand? I'm so excited you wanted to talk about Nope. We kind of talk about a list of movies that you were interested in. What was it about Nope that made you want to talk about it?
I feel like Monkey Paw does things that nobody else does, and so that's exciting off the bat. I'm also here for like... I don't normally go out for summer blockbusters, but this is definitely a summer blockbuster. He studied his Spielberg. Like, this is his Spielberg era, as I was telling people, because, like, I feel like Get Out and Us was definitely, like, his Hitchcock moment, which I love to see a Black creator having moments and being able to, like, keep people coming to them because like we don't get a chance to experiment and play usually. And so I'm here for it. And like this cast is gorgeous and fucking talented. Like you have Stephen Yeun, you have Keke Palmer, you have Daniel Kaluuya. I forgot the actor who plays Angel, who I'm obsessed with. He's a new person for me. Let me see his name real quick. Hold.
Brandon Perea. Yeah. Like, so you mentioned the first two films, Hitchcockian, and I mean, Get Out is undoubtedly a masterpiece, and it took the world by storm. And it spoke. I mean, we all know the many things that it's done for the world. It also gave people who don't appreciate horror a chance to look at horror differently.
Yes,
I believe the best horror reflects humanity, and that's what Get Out is to a T.
Horror is political, as my editors at Dread Central say. Horror is political. When it's not political, it's usually missing some things. Like if we think about Night of the Living Dead, if we think about like Get Out, if we think about most of the things that we all love and like hold on to, they're political. Yeah. Even Black Christmas had an abortion storyline. Like
I'm about to do that episode, and these female characters in that film have agency, and they're not perfect, and they're also not like. They're not like monstrously flawed. They're real.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen back then. It still doesn't happen, you know?
Get it right. We've done 2 remakes, reboots, requels, whatever you want to call them, and they have all failed harder. Oh, and that's a lot.
Man, they get progressively worse. And I wish it's just a movie that I wish that it were more appealing to a modern audience because it's more relevant now than ever. But the attempts at remaking it are completely missing what made that movie so impactful. You know?
Yeah, no, and again, I think that at the core, the best horror is political, and it's people who are doing the best they can when they can and actually trying. Because we
Yeah.
don't get a lot of that because we have a lot of Eli Roths running around, and so
Mm.
nobody's putting in effort, nobody's trying. They're just like, ha ha ha, bucket of blood, objectifying some women real quick, and I'm just like, I don't want that. That's not what I'm here for. I think horror works better when you're aligning it to be smart because it is smart. Like I can sit here and go up for so many slashers that are doing something that is smarter than most Eli Roth movies.
Sure.
And they're attempting to do something. If they fail or not is a different argument, but they're trying. And that I
Yeah.
respect. That I can give a couple of stars to and get an essay into, as opposed to he's in the cabin again.
I think Eli Roth has had some impactful moments, but as a whole, I personally have never thought that an entire film for me worked. But he has these moments within them that do work, but not doing anything that we've not seen before. This is why I loved this summer for horror. Like I just did an episode on X and an episode on Pearl, and I want to hit Barbarian and with
She's wild.
Oh, so good. I know. I was going to do it next week, but I just saw Suspiria in a movie theater with Goblin playing the soundtrack live.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I want to do Suspiria with the people in line that I met. While it's hot in our minds. So Barbarians might be coming soon. But anyway, the point is this summer gave us a lot of stuff that we'd never seen before in horror or that we hadn't seen in a very long time. And it was
I'm still
unexpected.
catching up, which is
Yeah.
wild. I still have to see Pearl. I still have to see Bones and All. Smile just hit Paramount, so I need to see that. This new Invitation, because people had a lot to say about it, but also it's a black lead, so I have to see it for myself to know if it's real or not, because people are awful. Like, there's just so much I'm not caught up on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why don't let's dive into Nope.
I am the worst. I will get on so many random tangents. Like,
I have been so excited to have you on this, especially talking about this episode. I feel like this movie, you said it best, epic summer blockbuster, which we don't get those anymore.
No.
For me, this movie felt like when I was a kid and Jurassic Park came out, or Independence Day, or those big smash movies. And for some reason, and maybe it's just audiences aren't drawn to theaters as much anymore, I didn't sense the sensation from the world that I wanted this movie to receive.
Jordan Peele is a black man, and so just will never get the credit he deserves. I definitely went to see it, but I was one of the last because of my schedule. So I caught like a $5 show, like maybe the last month it was in theaters.
Yeah, I'm glad you got to see it on a screen because it was made to be seen on a screen. I mean, it's gorgeous.
He makes cinema, and people don't want to give him that credit.
Yeah.
Well,
I think, like you said, he's a black man, and I think that there's a group of audience members who are worried that his movies are preachy, and they're only preachy if you've got something to be preached about. If they're not, if you know what I mean? Otherwise, you're just going to sit back and maybe learn something. And that's terrifying to a lot of people.
There are so many people that will walk by a movie, and if they don't see themselves in the poster, they're like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
And that's not something that like I have had the agency to do as a black woman, because like very, very few movies and shows are geared towards me. Like I have to like take the crumbs I can get. And it makes it hard because like we have so many movies that deserve time and attention that we don't hear about because the critics are again in that demographic of cis straight white men. The people who pay to see movies are mostly in that demographic, and so they're buried. And so you find them later in life. Like doing off-beat podcast, I've found so many movies that I wish I could have seen when they were new, as opposed to like 5-10 years late.
Right.
But like that's not our society, and I hate that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, so the film came out this summer. Written and directed by Jordan Peele, his third film. It's been said he did kind of like, the Three Monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. In Get Out, Daniel stuffs his ears with cotton. In Us, it is not speaking, right? The doppelgangers covering their mouths. And then in this movie, see no evil, because you can't look at the alien.
Yep.
So this is kind of the crown, the third of his premiere trilogy. Which is just he's just so cool. He's I mean, he's so smart. We'll get into a whole discussion about how smart he is with his films. A budget of $68 million. That's after some tax breaks for Hollywood, and then it brought in $171.2 million. So the movie can be considered a success, 1,000%. Filmed. It was the first horror film filmed for IMAX specifically, which I don't know why I thought it was.
The first one should have been. The second one shouldn't have happened. But like the first bit, I would allow.
Well, I don't even want to get into it's not my favorite Stephen King, and I like a lot of Stephen King books. It just never, it just like the movie, that section of the book is the best part when they're kids. Yep. And then when they're adults, it just falls apart. It's not as interesting. It's just not. And I maybe it's because I'm not afraid of clowns. It's just never been it's iconic. Yeah. It's whatever. Let's get back to Nope. That's all we have to say.
Bill Skarsgård get weird and bendy. I'm here for that all day. But like,
yeah, oh yeah, no, he was perfectly cast. So Nope. We have Daniel Kaluuya as Otis, O.J. Haywood Jr. He's perfect in it. He looks fucking hot. Like, he put on some pounds and he looks real good like that.
Listen, I was here for it because I'm always like, I'll break him in half. And I'm like, ooh, I might not break him, but we'll have fun.
He could break me in half. Listen. He's so good. I always forget he's British, right?
Yeah.
I always forget that because you never see him play a British role.
I love a British man. I listen. That's a different
coming back from London. You mean?
Listen, that's a different podcast. I'm just gonna leave that out there.
Yeah. He very much plays the strong, silent type in this film. He's a man of few words, and he's very observant, and he does so much with his eyes. I read a review of this movie, and one of them said that his eyes are the best special effect in Hollywood right now, and that made me melt. I fell even further in love with it.
He's got those eyes. You take care of him because like he's always in a situation he shouldn't be in, but like racism is real, and so and even I feel like this character and Chris from Get Out are not that dissimilar. I feel like they have the same situations, kind of sort of, in their lives that allow them to be the person they are. Okay. And so like I know both of them, and they're not different people. Let's just say that I know both of them in my own circles, and they're not different people. Sure. Chris is more like I'm more comfortable slightly, and then he goes into that house. OJ is like I'm never comfortable. I'm never allowed to be comfortable, and so I'm always a little bit like afraid and distant and silent. Which is again like people I'm related to and people I know. Like it's yeah.
Absolutely. He's excellent in both of them. There was controversy. Samuel L. Jackson criticized his casting in Get Out because he's not American.
That's one of the times I was like, Uncle Sam, please stop. Because
Samuel L. Jackson also appears in Quentin Tarantino movies and drops N slurs. So I'm a white man. I don't know if I can have an opinion on this, but it seems a little backwards.
That's my opinion, so we'll just go ahead and piggyback those two.
All right, great.
When Uncle Sam came for him, I was like, why would you let us have something nice, Uncle Sam? Let us have something nice. Because again, like you are working with Tarantino, he's not the best. Like problematic people who we like keep giving money to. People keep giving Tarantino money. I definitely did the Kill Bill double feature. I definitely Hateful Eight. Each time I'm like, there's something not right here, and I didn't have my like vocabulary and my finger on it specifically at the time, but now I do, and so I'm not giving Tarantino my time and attention anymore. But some people do, and that is their right as moviegoers. Like I can't be like he did such and such specifically, but like there's something in the pudding that is not right.
It doesn't. There's an aftertaste. You watch it. I watch it, and I might be like, oh, okay, and then I'm like, no, wait, no, something's not right.
I have not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just because of the way he talked to the daughter of Bruce Lee. And I'm like, okay, now we're really going to separate because I've been wanting to separate for a minute. Granted, I was a film kid. Most of my electives are in film and directing. And so like I saw Pulp Fiction forever and a fucking day. I have thoughts about Pulp Fiction, but like also, is it the greatest movie? No. Like, most of his movies are not great because he's borrowing from other people who've done them before, which is what a lot of directors do. I'm not like coming from specifically, but like he's so caught up in being like, what do these people I'm stealing from do? And also, how can I use these extra slurs and have these moments as opposed to an actual movie? And so
show women's feet.
I keep waiting for the day Uma Thurman snaps and it's like, here are all the receipts on Tarantino.
She gave that interview, and she told everyone it's going to blow him out of the water, and then it really didn't do anything.
Listen.
You think there's more?
Oh, there's so much more. There's so
Yeah.
much more. And I know there is. And because I've seen her on the red carpet when she like alludes to it. And I'm
Okay.
like, say your piece. But also, I don't know her therapy. I don't know where she's at in her process. But
Yeah.
when it comes out, I will be the first one to retweet or rehive. I don't know where we'll all be then whenever it
Right.
does. Like, but I'm going to be like,
I
I
mean,
knew it.
yeah. Yeah. Man, we are never going to get through this movie. I could talk to you all day. I love this. All right, we're going to move on. Next cast member. We're only on the second cast member. Keke Palmer. Love her playing Emerald M. Haywood. Can we just admit that she finally has been given a role worth playing? Like, she is mind-blowingly talented, and she's always doing this like B-movie bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, not all of her work, but I feel like she just never has. She doesn't get the credit that she deserves.
This was the first time I saw her in a project that met her where she's at, as opposed to her having to just like endure.
Yep.
And again, I'm not, because again, when you need your money, you get your money. But
Hmm.
like the Scream TV series was beneath her.
I didn't know she was on that. I didn't watch it.
Season 3. I did it in Indiana because I was already sad, and so I just went in and finally did it. Don't watch that. But
Okay.
like that is beneath her. Like I've seen her in other stuff that's beneath her as well. Like, but again, like you have to like hustle because like she's a black woman in Hollywood, and
Yes.
so people don't want to give her opportunities. So she has to be like, how can I stay relevant while I'm figuring out what I can do to get to where I need to be? Like,
Yeah. People are real quick again. God, we're never going to get to this movie. Everyone's saying Mia Goth needs to be nominated for awards for Pearl this year, and she does. Do not get me wrong, but like Keke in this movie is fantastic. She gives us so much. First off, portraying a queer black woman in the coolest way possible. Really great writing from Peele to establish that she is queer without making her queer. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
I love when we get a character who is the person without a monologue about it. Because a lot of people who are not in the experience are like, let me have a monologue about it. And also
Right.
let me have some trauma porn to it. But she is like a happy queer woman who's like, oh, I got goals and ambitions. I want to see what this fucking shit is. I'm like, yes, Kiki, yes.
Yes.
So like again, it's not my community, but I was here for her. And
Yeah.
I was clapping and cheering. And I was like, won't black woman turn her the fuck out when she like figures out how to get the picture she needs, even though everything's
Yeah.
gone off the rails. I'm here for this woman, and it's exciting to see a black man write a black woman, especially a queer black woman, who is not immediately garbage and is not immediately tortured and not immediately like waiting for the men to save her, because
Yep.
like she doesn't know what happened to her brother Angel, but she's like, we set out on a goal. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
Hmm.
do it and save myself, and hopefully the people I love are still with me when I get there.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh no, I'm helpless now. Tyler Perry wig turn. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's so true. And she's well, I guess we'll talk more about her performance as we get through the film, because we're going to get through the film eventually.
Someday.
Also in the cast, we have Stephen Yeun as Ricky Jupe Park. Perfect
husband.
casting again. Like, just his body of work is it's becoming more and more interesting. Obviously, Walking Dead. Obviously, got his
Mayhem.
eyeball knocked out.
Listen, look, he's been in the genre forever. I got to do a streaming guide on just him because he's my husband, and
Okay.
I am thirsty. And so I was like, can I do a Stephen Yoon streaming guide? And finally, they were like, yes, fine, do it. And like his body of work is like legit. He also put on a little bit of weight for this movie, or maybe just in life, I don't know. But he looks good. Like
He does.
I tweeted yesterday when I was rewatching it that like when they put him in the red suit, it goes from being a film to being cinema.
Yeah.
I want to take any
Yeah.
questions. What?
The red suit almost didn't happen. It was almost not like approved. The costume designer didn't think that it was going to make it to the screen, and thank God it did. It's just that's when, I mean, it's kind of a shift in the whole movie, obviously, but that's a great way to put it. It becomes cinema.
Yeah, it's like the hour mark, and he's like, "I'm a showman.
Yeah.
I got some trauma, but I'm a showman." And he's out there with his little tassels and his like little like beige hat and his red suit, and he's like, "I'm gonna give you an experience." I'm like, oh, say more, Steven.
On his poster, because each of the characters got a poster of them looking up at the sky. His hat, if you notice, is actually shaped like Jean Jacket, like the creature.
I need to
Which
go
is
back and
pretty
see
cool.
those.
All right. So Jacob Kim plays young Ricky. Small role, but really impactful. Handles it really well.
Yeah.
Michael Wincott as Antlers Holst, the cinematographer.
Yes.
If there's a character in this film that the choices that he makes don't make sense to me, it's going to be him. But let's talk about that when we get to it.
I will. I got thoughts.
Brandon Perea as Fry's electronics technician Angel Torres, and then we have Daddy Keith David as Otis Haywood Sr., who I just what an iconic actor, and no stranger to horror. He was in The Thing,
Yeah.
and he's in another famous horror movie. What was it? I can't remember.
He's done so much. He was the voice of Goliath and Gargoyles. He's the voice of everything.
He's the voice of Dr. Facilier in Princess and the Frog.
Listen, like okay, I'm gonna tell the story real quick and I'm gonna stop like sidetracking us.
Tell it.
He decided to get on Instagram and his handle is like Silver Throat, and he didn't understand how that was gonna be taken dirty. Mm-hmm. And so he wrote a whole long Twitter thread about how people are like making it dirty, and it's not dirty. He's got a voice. He's always had a voice. And I'm like, you called yourself Silver Throat on Instagram.
Yeah.
The year 2022 of our Lord Beyonce. I'm sorry, David.
You've done this to yourself.
I'm innocent, and it's so boomer energy in the right way as opposed to like our parents are being awful again.
Yeah. I mean, he does have a fucking gorgeous voice, though. I could listen. I mean, does he do like, what are those nighttime fall asleep celebrities read you bedtime story things?
They're doing it. I would sleep. Like,
oh God,
my insomnia would be Silver Throat.
Yeah. Really good casting. It's a moment where a lead character is taken from us really early, and it's a bummer because he doesn't get much screen time at all. I mean, not at all.
3 scenes.
But it's a shocking opening.
I didn't know he was going to be there. We were trying to get me into interviews for Dread Central, and he was on the list. And I was like, Keith David's in that movie because I avoid spoilers. And I'm like, he's going to be there. And I show up and I'm like, he's there. He's dead. Oh no! Like roller coaster.
Oh hey. Bye. That's it. All right. Well, why don't we break this movie down beat by beat? It's kind of a long movie. So the movie opens on a pre-digital age TV set where a gruesome event has happened. The camera's kind of from under the table, and we're looking at a woman's lying motionless, and a chimpanzee covered in blood is just like walking around. And then it begins to walk toward the camera, and then it cuts to black. And it's not the opening you expect from this movie in the least.
I was not ready.
No, and it's brief. It's real quick, so you don't. And then the movie starts basically, right? I think there will be more to talk about this scene when we get to it. Flash forward to the Haywood Hollywood Horse Ranch and Otis Haywood Sr. So Keith David and his son Otis Jr. OJ. Played by Daniel Kaluuya, are out riding their horses, and they're horse trainers for Hollywood, and then they hear screams in the air above them, and it's like a lot of people screaming, and then metal objects start raining down from the sky. Another unexpected. I mean, Jordan Peele, you never know what you're going to walk into with his movies. They're very secretive, before they're released, so you're trying to figure out what's going on or what it's going to be about, even as the movie's happening.
And I live because I'm a ruiner, and so I figure it out always. And so I love that Jordan, you can't figure this out. Just enjoy the ride. And
keeping this movie a secret in today's day and age was very impressive.
The way I have to mute anything I want to see is embarrassing because so many people are like, I'm going to live tweet from the theater. And let me tell you a second I leave because I want to feel seen. I'm like, no.
That's so stupid. It's so hateful.
It is very pick me energy. It's that kid who wants to
take,
even if it's for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
And I hate that. And so I'm happy that, like, on top of me muting it, Jordan feels like nobody gets to know anything. No screeners.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. It's brilliant. And it shows his confidence in his work, too.
Again,
this man is not filming multiple endings for test audiences.
He's also not counting on stunts to like sell his work. Unlike some filmmakers who are like, let me like cast somebody awful and then let the fallout lead people to the audience. I'm like, no, I don't do this shit.
All right, so we got metal shit raining from the sky, and from the distance we see something has hit Otis Sr., Keith David, on his horse, and he falls off of it, and it turns out he has died. A nickel has fallen from the sky and sliced right through his eyeball. So he's looking up at the sky, lands in his eyeball. And that's it. He has like 2 lines before he expires.
I was so stressed, and then he died. So I should have been stressed, and then I'm sad. Thanks, Mr. Peele.
Yeah, that's how you start our movie. We got a bloody monkey, and then we got one of our favorite actors.
Yeah, an icon. Why don't you?
Icon. But that was dumb. All right. 6 months later. All right. So we get title card. Nope. And then we get opening credits looking through this metallic-looking tunnel. It looks industrial. It looks. It doesn't necessarily look organic, right? Not at this point.
Yeah, it was weird, and I
almost like insulating foam that's covered in some kind of foil.
Yeah, I was like, "Is it a machine? What is it? What is it?"
Yeah. And so we kind of zoom out of it. That's where all the names are appearing, and then we zoom into a film clip of a black man riding a horse, an old black and white film clip. Mm-hmm. And then we fade out of that, and now we are 6 months after the death of Otis Sr. OJ is on a film set, and he's showing a horse named Ghost for a project that's led by a filmmaker named Antlers Holst. He's a very famous cinematographer. And OJ is waiting for his sister, M, to show up. And he's not the best at talking to people, right? He's got a lot going on. His father's died. His father was the head of this business. They train and rent horses to Hollywood, basically. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to keep this horse under control. And that's his primary concern, right? Yeah. Kissing these people's asses and everything is not as important as making sure that everyone stays safe.
And that's fair, especially for a black man who know you're going to be othered no matter what you do. Even if you wore the right clothes and you said the right things, you would still be othered. And like they're even treating him that way because like the actor's like, "Oh, is the horse lucky?" And people are like, "Well, we need you to do this now." And they haven't like said anything to him. They're just speaking around him and hoping he is just going to mind read them. Right. It's a very relatable situation, and I hate it because it's so relatable. But also, it made me kind of upset with Keke Palmer's character, M, because I'm like, you know that the both of you are the only 2 black people on this set. And he is not socialized for various reasons because, like, just racism. And so, like, you do kind of have to, like, lean a little bit more towards your sibling, unfortunately. And he's, like, calling for her when, like, shit's going down. And she's, like, past her table selling herself. And I see both sides of that coin, but also I'm just like, you got to sort of be there for him in this moment. You do. Yeah,
totally. And they have a great exchange later a little bit after this scene where we get their dynamic a little bit more. Yeah. But so he starts the safety meeting and he's real nervous and shy. If he's not shy, I don't think he's shy. I think that he's reserved, right?
I think he's reserved because, again, like, it's just hard to be a black person in America. And, like, as somebody who is benefiting from colorism because I'm lighter, but I'm the lightest person in my family. So, like, when I go to a place and I come back with somebody from my family, it's a different experience. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I can only imagine what it's like for him to navigate this, especially because his name is OJ. Like, there's even that joke. She's like, "Your name is OJ?" Yeah. Like, it's Otis Jr. It's not like that.
Yeah, but she makes a face like it scares her. Like, it's not like she doesn't think it's a crack or anything. Like, she's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that is, again, just like society being like, "Oh, no, I'm anti-black, but I don't know how to say I'm anti-black."
Well, and interesting that you would bring up then the different shades of a skin tone because he is a darker skin tone than his sister.
Yep.
Who comes in and saves the day. And she's the one that everybody's comfortable listening to.
Daniel Kaluuya is the darkest person in this movie. I definitely clocked that because even Angel, who I love, is lighter. And then, of course, like, Steven Yeun is not nearly as dark as anybody else. Mm-hmm. And then we have, like, I forgot his name already, the cinematographer.
Antler,
thank you. Is definitely a white man running around in his best, like, Kafgans. And so, like, it is always sort of put on him to be the most othered in the room.
Yes.
And I hate that for him because Daniel Kaluuya has done this before in Get Out. He did this when, like, Samuel Jackson was coming for him for being in Get Out. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I hate it because, like, it's not something that I am super familiar with because, like, sometimes I am the only black person in the room. But, like, again, colorism has I've benefited from colorism, and I can't put it into words quickly and succinctly in a podcast, but I
Yeah.
know I've benefited from it. So as hard as I have it, I know that people who are shades darker than me have it harder.
Yeah.
And that is an unfortunate truth of just like moving around in the areas I move in. Cause I was a theater kid. I'm trying to break into TV. And like my friends who are not like butterscotch gang are having a harder time than me. And there's no way to be like, I'm sorry I see it. This is also a form of racism without trying to like explain colorism 101 to white people. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And how do you even start to explain that? Jesus, I don't know.
Listen, I tried in Chicago. I did try because I had a roommate who was awful, but she was especially awful to a roommate who was darker than me, and I didn't have the vocabulary back then. It was again after the situation was passed. I was like, colorism is the word I was looking for. I didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
As a kid and as like a teen or a tween, you're not like, oh no, like we're different kinds of black in your eyes because this is weird, and you're specifically racist. And
Sure.
so, like when you figure it out and you don't have a word for it, people are looking at you like you've lost your fucking mind.
The world's coming into a place where communities are being given the vocabulary and the verbiage to understand themselves more.
Yeah.
You know, and to speak for themselves in ways that people are hopefully starting to listen.
Listen, because like all the isms are a kaleidoscope, much like jean jacket. It opens up every time you think you have it. There are new pockets and new avenues, and you're like, wait, I thought we had it, but there's more over there, and then there's more over there, and so like whenever I'm like I have a grasp on the things, like well, there's another. And there's another, right. And it gets more complicated the more intersectional you go, which like now that like people are living like their real lives is happening.
So M, OJ's sister, finally arrives. She rushes up to the set and immediately takes over the safety spiel, and she's outgoing and friendly and quick-witted and just like the kind of person that you feel like you know them instantly, right? Like, and just, I don't know, the cool person in the room that you wish would talk to you, you know, and probably would come and talk to you. Like she talks to a stranger in Fry's Electronics later, you know, like she's really good. And she gives the spiel, the history of her family. That black man on a horse is the first image captured to screen. Now, that is in the history of this film. In reality, it's still debatable, which means it's probably true, right? And so a Bahamian jockey who is she says great-great-grandfather. OJ says another great. So great-great-great-grandfather. Now, she only lists two greats because she is quoting a film that her father recorded where he's saying this speech. So it would be her father's great-great, not her third. So she's quoting it directly. It's so just fucking smart.
I love that because she's trying to make it as an actor. And of course she was memorize the lines and not be like, oh, let me also alter them. She's like, this is the spiel. This is what we're doing. I've memorized it. I'm good to go. And it's just another layer to who she is. Like,
because then she does try to plug her other talents, right? She says, I'm an actor, sometimes I'm a singer, I'm a seamstress, you know, just whatever you need, I'm here. And then she runs off to craft store. She even says, like, I can cook too. Look, hit me up for crafty.
It's so relatable because, like, how many of us are trying to get our foot in the doors and we're like, I do all these things. Just let me.
You have to be able to do them all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And she's also the kind of person where, I believe that she can do all of those things really well, right?
She's resourceful, as we find out over the course of this movie. Like, if there's something to be done, she will figure out a way to do it. If it's
MVP
legal or
of
not,
the film, for sure.
If it's legal or not, it's a different story, but she will get it done.
She will get it done. So now she's kind of off to the side, hanging out at Crafty, talking to someone, and so OJ's handling the horse, and then the horse starts to get spooked because there's too many people crowding around it. And I think it's like a light measuring tool that they put in front of the horse's face. And the guy is warned, don't look the horse in the eye. And then he spins the light measuring tool around and it's a mirror. And the horse sees its own eyeball reflection and it kicks and it scares everybody on set. And so now they're asked to leave.
Right. Which, again, like, they've uttered this man. They won't talk to him. They won't listen to him. And, like, they're talking over him when he's trying to, like, tell them the things for their safety. And, like, it is unfortunately very common. Like, we see the videos. We're not going to get into the videos. We see the videos on social media where a black man is saying something and the people are talking over him and then things escalate and he's no longer with us. And we're supposed to be like the cops were worried. The cops are bastards. ACAB. Um, and so like this is definitely, it feels like this is pulling from a lot of that, because again, we've seen these videos where the black man is speaking and they're just like, no, we can't hear you, we're doing what we're gonna do anyways.
Yeah.
And it gave me some anxiety, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was like, it's a Jordan Peele film, we're usually safe here, but also I'm happy they left with the horse and that's all there was to it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and the someone on set, tells him there will be other jobs. It's so soon after your dad has passed, and his dad had relationships with these people. And if it's Keith David, that he probably had a different approach to talking to people,
it's
right?
a different time, and so he was definitely more able to be like, here's what makes you happy, here's what makes me passable. Sure. That's the interaction. And it never got those skills, which. Right. Again, like it's hard because like as millennials, like we've grown up from people who are from a different time and they take a lot more bull than the rest of us will ever. Yeah. Because I'm no stranger to quitting a job and figuring it out later.
I'm kind of doing it right now.
The thing of it is, once you start quitting things that don't serve you, you realize you wanted to quit sooner. You're never like, I should have stayed longer. That's never the conversation.
Never once.
I wish I quit sooner. Always and forever.
Yeah. Now, so they tell OJ that there will be opportunities, but I think it's understood that there won't be. They're done. And they even, I think one of them mentions CGIing the horse also. There's this threat of like his role is obsolete now because you can just CGI anything. In fact, in films and TV, you can't use live chimps anymore. You have to CGI them. So it's actually taking place. The chimp in this movie is CGI. Mm-hmm. So after they are removed from the set, on their drive home, they stop at a local theme park, kind of like right next to their ranch in the Agua Dulce Hills of Hollywood. And it's called Jupiter's Claim, and it's run by Ricky, played by Stephen Yeun, who's a former child actor. In the fairgrounds, it's like an old ghost town, like an old West ghost town, right? It's cool. It's actually now officially part of the Hollywood tour at Universal Studios Hollywood. Halloween Horror Nights this year, you could walk through it, and they had the doppelgangers from Us doing like kind of a choreographed walk with their scissors while you walked through Jupiter's Claim. It's really cool. Look up the videos. I'm in love. The Halloween Horror Nights, and like you got to walk on the Bates Motel steps. This year, they really it looked amazing. I've never been to either of them, but I think this year I'm probably going to Florida to see the Chucky haunt because oh my god, the Chucky finale's tonight, isn't it?
I cannot wait. I live tweeted every week because we go live the next night.
I know you do.
I'm excited because this has been a wild season. Like I think it's better than the first season, to be honest.
Oh, we can't start talking about Chucky. We have to get through this movie. But but you and I listen to your podcast. I watch your live. You and I have the exact same opinions every week about this show. I am obsessed. It's the best show on television right now. And I don't have to apologize for that statement.
No. And I live for this because Don Mancini deserves. He deserves.
Yes.
He's given us a solid franchise since before most of us were born.
Absolutely. And to just be no fucks given, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to tie every single storyline together, and it's going to be batshit crazy, but it's also going to work.
Yeah.
The man's a genius.
His retention rate for the people who he works with for Chucky is also ridiculous. I just saw Living with Chucky, that documentary, and he wrote the review. But I just saw it, and like the people he's had forever, or the people he's had since he got booted from Universal and has now like claimed as his own. I was like, this is how you do it. But also, I want a job.
Please, let's do it. Let's go work for it. All right, so going to Universal Halloween Horror Nights next year for Chucky haunt, basically. Yes. So at Jupiter's Claim, there is a photo op called the Winking Well, where you look down in almost like a wishing well. You put a coin in there, and you look down, and from below it takes your picture up, so it's your face looking down with the sky behind you. It looks like the poster for that Shia LaBeouf movie Holes. It's like purposely just like it because this movie is a little bit about a lot about exploitation, right? Exploiting people, and Shia LaBeouf is a prime example of youth exploited. So remembering that photo opportunity a little bit later. And so they go up to his office. Now, before they go in the office, M and OJ have this conversation where he's like, would you stop pushing your side hustle at our job. And she goes, no, no, no. This is my side hustle. Those other things are my main hustle. And I'm glad she gets to say that. Their dynamic is obviously a place of love. There's not an animosity. I don't sense one. It's just maybe they're adults now and they have different lives, but there's not like some unspoken animosity between them.
I think they have the regular amount of trauma that you have just being raised by your parents. Because they do have that moment later where she's like, I was supposed to train that one horse and then dad chose you to do it the night before. But she's not mad at him for it because she knows that was her dad fucking up, even though dad's not there. It's just what it is. And so, like, she's not, like, holding on to it or harboring it. She's not holding it against him. He's not thinking about it. You just have these things when you are raised in a family that maybe does not communicate the best.
Yeah.
You have them and it's there, but they not let it stop them from being close because at the end of the day, they are family and they do care. They will risk their lives for each other, as we see over the course of the movie.
I always think of the book version of Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. There's a quote where it says, like, there's no connection or there's no bond as that of a shared childhood.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even if you aren't close with your brother or sister, no one will ever have seen that part of your life other than that person, you know?
Even if you don't want to own that it was the experience that it is, because like a lot of us have this thing where like our siblings remember it differently or can't remember it for what it was. Yes. But there's still that like insta bond when you're back. Because I've definitely had to shut it down. I had to be like, don't send me any more pictures. Don't talk to me about your happy memories. I don't remember those memories. I remember what it was.
You know, me and my brother had the same childhood, and yet we had very different childhoods.
Right? And it's wild.
And which one was the right one? Neither of them. There was our lived experience, you know, and our perception of our growing up.
That's what therapy's for.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So they go up to Jupe's office and they're going to sell him. First off, Jupe has the scissors from Us on his desk. Did you clock that?
Yes. And I loved it.
Oh, my God. Yeah. All right. So they're going to sell him Ghost, this horse that kicked out on the film set. And it seems like for a while now, they've been selling him their horses one by one. They're trying to make ends meet. And, he calls Ghost his second best horse. M is kind of getting real nosy, walking around the office, looking at all this memorabilia and sees a Mad Magazine cover of this chimpanzee TV show. Now, first off, Jordan Peele got a start on Mad TV.
Yeah.
Which is cool that they use Mad Magazine. And she says, what's this? And Jupe perks up and he opens a secret door and goes, oh, damn. It's such a good response because what do? There's a secret door in this weird guy's office.
I would follow Stephen Yeun into any door he opens in any office. Just so
absolutely, with his cute little cowboy hat. And, he's got all of this memorabilia from a late 90s TV show called Gordy's Home.
Yes.
And it turns out that the bloody chimp that we saw in the beginning of this film was his co-star when he was a child star on this sitcom. And one day the chimp went wild and 6 minutes and 13 seconds of mayhem ensued. The chimp killed a bunch of people, mauled his sister co-star, and he was saved. Now, a weird thing to note in that opening scene, there's a shoe sitting upright with a single drop of blood. It's like upright, like magically. Mm-hmm. Like it's impossible for it to sit like this. And now he's got this shoe behind glass, still the drop of blood on it. There's a little card next to it like a museum would have explaining something, but you can't make out what it says. There's so many different opinions on the internet about what this means. Because it means something. Jordan Peele doesn't do things by accident, and this is such a specific choice. Sharai, do you have any idea? Do you have a feeling? Like, what is it? What's going on with you?
My thoughts are our good Jupe is definitely not one to be like, here's my feelings, let me process this, let me work through this. Because again, we're awful to child actors, especially like child actors of color. And so he's learned early on this is his new thing. Like whatever he was doing before this awful event happened, no more. People want to know about this, and that's why he's not acting as much. He has like this whole little horse ranch, and he has this like secret museum of his like trauma, and he's telling this like SNL story where Chris Kattan plays the ape, as
Right.
if it's like something that's happening. But even his performance, he's telling it, but like his eyes are not in this, and that is the trauma response. And so
Yeah.
I think he's like, this is what people want of me. I've not worked through it, so I have these things in case I ever do work through it, but I'm not going to. But like here's why I'm exciting to you. Let's go through these like this haul of my trauma, and I will tell you the edited version, much like Hannah Gatsby tells like that version of the stories, and then comes back with the truth at the end of it, like Nanette.
Yeah.
It's very much that on a different level, and
Hmm.
I because again, like this movie, it's about like the main event because like not to jump too far ahead, but like when the TMZ guy shows up, we're like, oh, this is the thesis. And I think Jupiter's
Right.
giving us that a little bit up front to be like, this is what you're here for. You want the trauma.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're like, that was weird. And then we go back to our normal movie. But, like,
Yeah.
it's with us forever. And we get more and more of it as he goes. And we even get his, like, hand thing because his wife gives him a hand massage before, like, their final moment.
Hmm.
And I think that's because that's the hand he bumped the monkey with. And, like, so he probably has some phantom pains in that hand.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, because she does like the pressure point kind of thing
Yeah.
in the web of his hand, and yeah, because allegedly the first exploding fist bump was him with this monkey on set of the that was like their thing,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
was like their thing on set. Well, he's got a lot of trauma to work through. He definitely keeps all of this preserved behind glass, visible but not tangible, which I think is exactly how he's processed it. He's his way to process is to put together another spectacle or
Yep.
another production of it, taking one traumatic production and then profiting off of it.
Which is how most of us move through theater school, let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I think that's why we go to theater
It is.
school.
It is. It's like, I don't have to deal with that. We have a show coming up. And it's like,
Yeah.
baby, go heal.
Yeah. The quick thing about that SNL sketch is that like Chris Kattan did play a monkey regularly. Was it Mr.
Multiple
Peepers?
times. Multiple
Yeah,
times.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Jordan Peele put together this like, oh, I could see that. Yeah, Chris Kattan. He was a monkey on SNL.
I doubted myself. I was like,
Anna
I didn't see
Gasteyer
that.
as the mom. She would, yes, that's who she would play. It's real. It's just good.
It's so
It
good.
works. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, when Jordan Peele was on Mad TV, he tried to get into SNL and they wouldn't let him because SNL loves to like cap the black people working for them.
Sure, yeah, they still do.
Yes, yes. And so like it's always funny to think what would have happened if he got to SNL and the Key and Peele wouldn't have happened and then we wouldn't have these movies.
Yeah, yeah. It everybody who's famous now has auditioned for SNL. I just found out Jennifer Lewis auditioned for SNL.
So many people who are funnier than most of the people who've been on SNL in our lifetime auditioned and didn't get in.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
random racist, sexist reasons.
yeah, 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 yeah. That night, OJ investigates some strange noises from the barn, and he's kind of walking around. He's creeped out, and he sees these like almost like a gray alien, right? With the big like almond eyes and the gray skin
Yeah.
in the background, and it's like crouching, and then it stands and it turns its head, and then suddenly another one kind of creeps out from behind the door. A little choreographed because those two both turn their head at the same time.
And OJ's like, nope. And I cackled. I cackled.
Yep, literally says nope and starts backing up, but then he takes out his phone and is like, I gotta catch this. And you get this great shot of like a very slowly one of these things peeking out from around a corner and looking at him, and he starts to walk away and turns around, and one of them's hanging upside down behind him, and he punches it in the face, which like, thank fucking God somebody defends themselves. Like, it's fight or flight. I used to work in haunted houses at Halloween, and that's a real thing. I got socked twice working in a haunted house.
Listen, because when you're jumping out at people, even if they paid to be there, like, and so like it is very fight or flight. And I was happy OJ's like, I'm gonna punch it while I'm scared. It's a reflex. It's human. And one of the things Jordan Peele does very, very well is capturing a fucking human moment. Like whether it's Get Out, whether it's Us, whether it's Nope. like these are real people. They're not like
Yeah.
I'm the hero because this is my movie. They're like I am terrified and I am having
Yeah.
a reaction, and that's why we gravitate, I think, to Jordan Peele's movies because we're like this. This is how I would have responded. This is how what I
I
would have done in these situations.
I also think that's what makes his character so relatable
Yes.
because, as you said, there are people who look at a poster and say that movie's not for me. But if they do sit through it and they see someone behaving the way that they would in that situation, it can draw them in.
Yeah, yeah, because like I relate to OJ and M because like I know what it's like to know that like something's happening to you, but if you don't have proof, nobody's gonna believe you because of
Hmm.
identities. And so
Yeah.
like when I never questioned them, they were like, "This is happening, but nobody's gonna believe us," and so we have
Yeah.
to get the proof. Unfortunately, because we're in a society and systemic racism is
Yeah.
real. And so, like, I was like, they have to, like, they have to. They're being safe about it. They have a grand plan. They've mapped it out, and they got to do it in order to get their like shit back. But like, also, they if they were not who they were, they could have easily just been like, this happened, and it would have been like 19 podcasts.
Right.
And it would have been like a couple pieces in the news, and
Yep.
maybe like Kickstarters for them. But like, that's not the truth of it because of who they are.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? That's not even something that I had put together either, that no one would believe them and that it's, yeah,
Yeah,
damn. I mean, they don't go to the authorities. And I did clock that.
yeah.
I mean, why would they?
I
You
would,
know?
because we know what would
Um,
happen if they did. If they got the like authorities
yeah.
involved, this would have been a very different movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that night, so the aliens, these weird aliens, actually turn out to be Jupe's children, right?
Yeah.
I have to back it up a little bit. M has stolen a decoy horse
I
from
love that
Jupe.
scene. I love that scene so much.
She pulls up with the horse trailer and this massive like horse statue with like bunting flags wrapped around it is inside of it, and how did she get that thing in the trailer?
Won't she do it? That
Because
is
she asked for, you know what, a black woman will get it done.
ill. I never
Um,
questioned her. I'm like, of course she has that plastic horse that's
of
like
course she
sure,
did, but then she does ask, "Can I get some help getting this thing out of here?" And then I just think I think it's on purpose. It's just don't ask questions. She's M. She's Keke Palmer. She got it done.
um
So the kids say, don't mess with Jupiter's claim. Like, don't steal it, because the kids know that they stole
oh, yeah.
the horse. So then later that night, all the power goes out, and OJ sees a strange flying object through the sky at the same time that some of the horses go missing. And he hears a horse. This thing starts over the amusement park in the distance, and you can hear what we learn later is Jupe practicing his speech, saying every Friday night at blah 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 amount of time, and then we hear a horse scream, and we see a swirl of dust into the air, and then this thing flies away. So at the time, we don't know that Jupe is practicing a speech for an upcoming show, so he goes and tells Em about it, and so then she says, "What was it?" And he goes, "It was big." So the next day, they go to Fry's Electronics. They are eating fries in the parking lot of Fry's Electronics, which I think is hilarious and stupid at the same time. We had one in Phoenix growing up. They were giant electronic department stores known for having really extremely, almost like theme park style designs. Like ours looked like a Mayan temple. You walked in, and then on the inside there were like dinosaur statues, and it was really cool. This one, the famous one in LA, has a flying saucer crashing into it. They did close down like while they were filming this movie. So Fry's Electronics, RIP, real bummer, because I just remember going there to buy all my DVDs. That's where I got my horror movie DVDs when I was a teenager. But so they go into the store. They're talking about, we got to catch this thing. Just like you said, we have to catch a shot of it. They call it the Oprah shot, right? The shot that's unquestionable, that's going to get them featured, that's going to make them money, going to make them famous. This is a moment where Keke looks at a girl and says, "You look so pretty. Hi." Like, just a great little character moment. I almost wonder if that was ad-libbed by her. It feels like something that she would do.
I could see that because Keke is that girl. Keke knows. She just knows. She's like, you give me a script, but also I know this character. I know this world. Just let me go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never worry about a Keke performance. I never do.
No. Her monologue on the film set at the beginning when she's talking about the history of her family's business, they took 14 takes. Jordan says every single one was completely different. Like a different choice for every single take. So they approach the counter at Fry's Electronics, and there's a guy named Angel behind the counter, and he's a cutie.
I love him so much, but I just want to put him in my pocket because he's too precious for this world. I saw the audition tape where Jordan Peele told him he got the like gig because he hadn't told him before this last round, and like he like pulled on his friend who had to like read with him and he saw tapes. And he's like, "Oh, I got it," and I was like, "Of course you got it. Who else is gonna get it from you?" What?
That's so precious. I love that. It's God. I have to film 2 auditions today.
Oh.
It's such a hassle. Do you know how many people don't want to be a scene partner in a self-tape?
I used to live with actors, and I would be the only person around to read, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry." What?
It's a great gift. No. God bless you for that because it's so hard. There's a service I have sometimes had to pay someone on a website, these professional actors, and they charge like $10 an hour, $20 an hour to self-tape with you. Oh yeah, it's nuts. Anyway, back to the movie. So they're buying this surveillance stuff, cameras and software to record. Now, when the thing flew over the house the night before, all of the power went out, right? Em was like jamming out to some records and they turned off. And it sucks battery power out as well. They mention even their cell phones. And Angel does this funny, like, mansplaining thing of like, well, that's not how power works. Like, it's probably your Wi-Fi. He's super condescending. And he offers to install it, and they say no. And then they realize they probably need his help. So he comes to the ranch and is going to start helping install. We get a little bit of character from him. He goes off on this tangent about his girlfriend of 4 years leaving him because she got a CW pilot. I read originally the character was supposed to be more happy-go-lucky and silly, and when he got the part, he actually wanted them to make him a little more grounded.
He was also the one that talked to Jordan about his character's like last moments because he's like, "There's got to be a sequel," and so I want to be around in case there is a sequel. Which I love because when I was watching this, I was like, I see 2 paths. Either the other path is we get a sequel for this, which we deserve, or the next movie has Lupita playing a new character in a new universe, and like we're gonna keep alternating between Lupita and Daniel until we get to whatever is gonna be the thing.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with either of them. Let's give Lupita a movie, and then we'll come back to Daniel being in another Nope.
Listen, because like again, we're not recycling most actors, but we recycled Daniel, and I was like, I see you, Jordan Peele. Or is this a Peeleverse? Is it?
Peeleverse. All of his movies are connected. All right, so they install the cameras. He says that they're battery powered, but that doesn't necessarily do much for it when the spacecraft arrives. I think he's lonely. I think Angel is lonely, and so he offers to be like, I can monitor this stuff for free, like separately from you guys. And M's like, absolutely not. Don't want that. Bye.
He wants to connect. He wants friends, which is definitely a part of the conversation of the spectator thing and having to share because even before the pandemic, I think that we were all like, if I don't take a photo, is it real? And that's why some of us have a skewed idea of success because we see people who are supposedly successful, quotation marks, and it looks like that. And so if we don't have it like that, then it's not success. But like we are all successful. We're getting up every day. Most of us are showering every day. Most of us are doing whatever we need to do to pay bills. And so we're fine. We're fine.
On some days, that's a success. All right. So after setting up the cameras, OJ sets up a decoy horse. Oh, that's the thing. They are setting up the cameras. M says, this is going to take more than an hour. I'll be right back. I need to go get something. She goes and gets this decoy horse and then arrives with it in the trailer. And then she goes, can I get a couple men to help me with this? And I'm like, girl, you got it in there by yourself. Anyway, we already talked about that. So they set up this decoy horse in the middle of their field, and then Jupe instantly arrives, and it's very obvious that they have stolen it, that she has stolen it from Jupe's property.
I love that scene so much. There's so much happening. I love when Angel's like trying to like wave by. And she's like, "You don't even live here.
You don't even live here." He's like, "I'm trying to help." Jupe invites them to the premiere of his new family show, like 5:00 Friday. Please show up. And so keeping that in our minds. Oh, at one point they discuss kind of the concept of UFOs and how it was recently, truly in real life, by the government admitted that there is proof of unidentified flying objects. Now they're called UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. It's a cool little brief talk. It's not too preachy, but it gets you, it grounds you into the reality of this film.
Yeah.
And kind of puts the stakes of what could be real in our faces. At night, the alien approaches and shuts down the surveillance camera, and a praying mantis has crawled on the lens of the house camera, blocking the view of the ship. Now, here's my thing. That camera doesn't shut down, right?
It does not.
The rest of them do. That one is just blocked by a praying mantis. Did I miss something here?
I'm wondering if, when the praying mantis landed on it, it actually did go out, but they didn't know because everything went black. You might go out to remove the praying mantis, but you don't know how long the camera was down. Yeah. Because you couldn't see anything. And that's what I'm telling myself to make it make sense.
Okay. All right. You're right. Because it shows the other one go down. You see the face of the praying mantis, and then she goes to try to throw Sour Patch Kids at it to get it off. You like Sour Patch Kids? To get it off the camera. So I guess we don't see what's happening on the screen anymore. We're going to have to move on because I don't want to ask too many questions about that. I want to let it live. The decoy horse gets sucked up by this thing. And it seems like it gets stuck because the flags, the bunting is now sticking out of its orifice. I don't know. What are we calling this thing?
Listen, your guess is as good as mine.
We'll call it its mouth. Let's say mouth.
Yeah. Let's call it that, because it could get very dicey if we try to figure out what hole it was.
You're right, because I think it serves multiple purposes, as we'll find out soon. Let's see. So it flies away, and we see the pennants dragging out behind it. We see a TV set, the same TV set from the beginning of the film. We're kind of zooming in through trees and then onto the set itself. We see people hiding in the studio audience, just a handful, maybe 2 or 3. And we hear the chimpanzee pounding on something. There's blood kind of smeared all over the place. And then we see young Jupe or young Ricky hiding under a table, just staring, keeping his focus on one thing. One of the actors, the man who plays the father on the show, tries to get out and is attacked by Gordy, the chimp, pretty brutally, using his hands, his fists, to kind of come down on him. And then we see Gordy go after the young sister, and we don't see what's happening, but we hear what's happening as he's ripping off her face. It's really brutal and really out of nowhere. And a vicious scene. And then Gordy approaches toward the camera, which is now under the table where young Ricky is, hands covered in blood, soaked. He takes off his party hat. What had set him off was, during an episode, a bunch of balloons were released and they popped when they got to the hot lights, and it freaked him out. So he uses sign language, and if you don't know sign language, you wouldn't know this, but he signs to Ricky, "What happened, family?" As though he didn't know that he was killing, or I don't know anything about chimps, but it's kind of sad. And then he approaches and he puts out his fist to give Ricky a fist bump. And does Ricky reach out to give it back?
He reaches out and they almost tap when they shoot.
And then they shoot Gordy, and there's a blood spray, and then we see Ricky's face with kind of a spray of blood, and it's, for a young actor, a great reaction, and it's a really grounding, out of nowhere scene in a movie that's got kind of witty, funny parts throughout it.
Yeah, I love that moment because again, we are a society that's not kind to child actors.
No,
Um, we watch it in real time every time, and nobody ever does anything or intervenes, and it's kind of
that's right.
disgusting.
Yeah,
So like we don't know these work conditions for Ricky or Gordy, and we nobody was taking care of this kid. Like they just weren't.
right,
Because again, like where were the parents when the monkey started going ape shit? Not to like make a
right,
pun. Where was the animal wrangler? Like these people should be there. They should be paid to be there. No. And so like mayhem is happening and somebody's being traumatized, and then it's like, get the guns, as opposed to like, what could we have done to not have this happen? And
right,
so I think it's definite. I think that Ricky is definitely a stand-in for that childhood trauma because again, spectacle, cute kids, put the cute kids out there, but don't treat them like children, don't treat them like people. Just sort of make them do the dance and go sing the songs or whatever.
yeah,
And maybe to an extent, his sister is there too, also trying to be like, you know who I am, even though I don't look like myself. I'm here to comfort you and give you the experience of meeting me, even though I would rather go home and lay down.
yeah,
And so like it's gross on all counts, but also it's very society.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. We get a title card now. So the first one was Ghost. This title card now for the next act is Clover. So we're getting the names of horses that are on the ranch. So we see Ricky preparing for a show at Jupiter's Claim, and it's got a horse in a glass box. Now this horse is Ghost, the first horse from the film set that got sold to Ricky. And he's got a small audience of, I don't know, like 30 people sitting in his stands. One of them is his sister co-star from his TV show. And she's in a wheelchair and she's severely disfigured. Now, I'm going to be honest, I still don't know how I feel about using this because it might have been, was it 2007? There was a woman named Charla Nash who was in reality injured by her friend's chimp, and he ripped her face off and he ate it, and he ripped off both of her hands, and she made an appearance on the Oprah show, and this is what she looked like, and she had a veil over her face, and this is almost identical to her appearance now. No lips, no face, with a veil over her face. This was used as inspiration for the inclusion of the chimp attack, and her appearance in this film is very clearly, inspired as well.
That I didn't know, and now I want to go back and watch it for the fourth time with that in mind, because like I assume I mean I know things have happened on sets, especially the children with animals. Legend of the Hidden Temple was all about injuring children, and we didn't know that when we were watching as children.
Yeah, because I wanted to be on it real bad. Now I'm like,
we all did, and now we
I'm
find
pretty
out.
clumsy. I might not have survived.
Listen, I would have been a statistic, but like we didn't know at the time, and so now I want to go back and see it because like I'm sure that woman that you just mentioned is like definitely being like paraded around and like used for the spectacle, because it's
Yes.
always about the spectacle, which is what this movie's about. Like I'm
Yes.
thinking of Dr. Phil bringing out Shelley Duvall, who has been through so much,
And exploiting.
and exploiting her, and we exploit people all the time because again, society runs on trauma, not Duncan.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if there's a commentary to be made there, but I didn't know that was based on a specifically real person, so I wasn't thinking about that. But now,
Yeah, I'm sure that there's commentary, and I'm sure it's deliberate. I don't know. I just wonder how it would make her feel.
yeah.
To be the inspiration for this in a film. And I think that's all I'll say about it. So she's there. She's got a picture of herself when she was a little girl on her sweater, which is it's a little bit sad too. Like, this is what I used to look like. This is how you might recognize me. But he announces that she's in the audience. He's wearing a red cowboy suit with a beige cowboy hat, and it's got a UFO on the back of it.
Yes.
There are kind of faces of aliens on the cuffs. He's also selling stuffed animal dolls of these aliens that look just like the masks that his kid was wearing. Now, these alien faces look just like the film canisters that were on the cameras on the set of the TV show that he filmed. So his plan is to unveil what is in the skies, right? And so he has this horse, Ghost, in a glass cage, and his plan is to use it as bait to bring this creature forth from the clouds. Uh, it comes forth from the clouds. He says something like, within 1 hour, your whole life will have been changed. This moment is exactly 1 hour from when the credits roll at the end of the movie, which I think is real cool. I love when they say like 9 minutes from now, and then 9 minutes later is when like the bomb goes off in the movie or something like that.
I live every time.
Yeah. All right, so shit gets crazy. And this thing in the sky does not react the way that he wants to. And it starts sucking everybody up. And it sucks him up. And then we fade to black. And then we see people up in, like, sandwiched between what looks like two inflatable kind of translucent biological cushion things, basically being swallowed upward.
I love this moment more every time I watch the movie because OJ has this moment where he's explaining Jean Jacket as they tried to make. He's like, Jupe tried to make a pact with a predator, and you can't make a pact with a predator, which is, again, Gordy earlier on because it was a chimp that nobody was wrangling and handling and training. They were just like, let the chimp be a chimp, and it's cute, make it do the dance. And so, like, this has happened twice in Jupe's life. And so when people are like, I don't get that flashback, I'm like, because he's about to happen to him again, but this time he's doing it to himself.
Yeah, I think, well, when we get to our final analysis, I think we'll talk about it too. But I think that the vast juxtaposition in the two scenes is what's throwing people with this movie. Because the chimp seemingly has nothing to do unless you're actually paying attention to the movie. Mm-hmm. Right?
Listen.
So all these people are getting sucked up and swallowed by this thing. And OJ approaches the arena. It seems like some time has passed, right? Everyone's gone. You can't hear anything except like an announcement that's going on over the loudspeaker in the theme park. And so he sees it up in the sky, and he sees Ghost the horse still in that glass cage. So he's like trying to get the horse to come. And as the horse is kind of coming to him, the UFO swoops down. It's an interesting moment. Comes and swoops down past him and gets really, really, really close. And as it does, he ducks into like a shed. It looks like he's behind bars while this thing is trying to get at him, as though he is in a cage, right? Which I think is going to be expanded on in themes as we go on a little bit more. But I think captivity and being held captive is a big part of this movie as well. Being made to perform, right, is too. And so it's just a subtle kind of, it looks like he's behind bars with these wood slats, and this thing has him caged up.
Yes, because like one of the things I'm having to make space for, because like eat the rich, yes, but also some of these performers are kind of trapped in their own prison. They didn't know what fame was going to be, which is why you have so many who do fall into like these traps of like addiction or abuse and harm and all these other things, because they're just like, I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to be. And so like it's very complicated and it's tricky. And because I'm watching a lot of these people who did not know what fame was going to be, because we're all like, I want to be known for the thing I'm good at. I want to be known for the thing I like doing. But we don't ever think like what happens when people are screaming at me constantly and I don't get to have agency and I don't get to have a normal life. And so like there is a little bit of sympathy for the devil lately for me. And I think this movie is definitely part of that thesis my brain is working on. I don't know where it's going to land, but it's a thought I'm noodling with.
Well, it's such a great movie for getting you to think as well. So OJ realizes that this alien, that it's one creature. Instead of aliens inside of a spaceship, that it's actually one creature that's alive, feeding, basically. And perhaps now farming a little bit, or at least it's found a feeding ground. Now we have the title card, Lucky. And OJ, M, and Angel are discussing the details of a technology blocking extraterrestrial and how to capture it on camera. And they decide to call Holst. So Holst is the cinematographer from the movie shoot earlier, renowned kind of weirdo. And he's watching like old videos of animals killing each other. And he's looking at them in the eye while they do this. It's very specific to show that. And they explain that they're trying to get the Oprah shot. He says no at first, and then at some point in the movie, he sees on the news that something's happening. Like an audience of 30 people have disappeared, and because you know what? That happens after the storm. So that evening, yeah. So Angel and M are in the house. He's got the horse in the trailer, and he's driving back, and it gets dark, and it starts to rain, and the car comes to a stop, and then the decoy horse falls through his windshield. And inside the house, M and Angel they're kind of trapped. So it's pouring down rain, and then suddenly you see through the windows that the area surrounding their house is not being rained on. Mm-hmm. And there's like an umbrella-esque thing above it. So we know that the creature's right above them. And then metal objects start raining down on the house. Keys and coins and like a sign from Jupiter's claim that just got sucked up. And we start to realize, and then they hear people screaming, and then they stop screaming. And we start to realize this creature cannot digest these like unbiological objects. And so it shoots them out of its body. And then it starts pouring blood on top of the house. So whatever this creature can't digest, it basically shits.
Yes.
Later on. And it's a cool image of this house getting rained on in blood. OJ is watching from afar as this happens. M and Angel are freaking out, as they should be. The thing flies over toward where OJ is in his car. And then that's when the decoy horse falls through his windshield. And it's a surprise. He looks up out of his car and then sees it above him and then gets back in and says, nope, again.
It's the most stressful part of the movie is this moment.
It's real good.
Yeah, because for the rest of it, I'm like, summer blockbuster, Jaws, Poltergeist, Jurassic Park, yay! And they're like, oh no, this is real. This is horror.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of debate. People saying this isn't a horror movie. It is a horror movie. Fuck off. I also want to take a moment and talk about the lighting in this film, because lighting Daniel Kaluuya, the way that he is lit, is so well done. I think that seeing Black people lit in movies appropriately is a new thing in cinema.
Listen, we've had so many decades upon decades of us just looking ashy and depressed, and it didn't need to be that way. And it makes me sad. Like Another place that really got it right was I May Destroy You, Michaela Cole's show.
Oh, yeah.
That lighting was gorgeous, because so often it's like, you don't get that self-esteem, you're a Black actor, sorry about it.
Lighting instruments were not designed for Black skin tones throughout history.
When I was at Texas Tech, which was a mistake I made, I own that. I was in grad school. This older white guy who was a lighting designer, who whenever he got a show with Black people would complain to me. And I was like, what do you want me to say? We shouldn't cast Black people? Because I'm not going to say that. You should. Yeah. As an older man who's been light designing for however long, you should know how to light Black people. I'm sorry that this is shaking you, that you have a Black person in the cast. You got to think about. Boo-hoo. We had a falling out a couple years ago after leaving grad school. And I was like, I'm tired of your shit, John.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Tones of blue just reflecting on his skin in this really beautiful way. It showcases his expressive eyes and just his movement, and it's stunning. So the thing in the sky flies off, and the car starts up again, and M and Angel exit the house, jump in, and they drive off. Yes. Real fast. I think they end up at Angel's apartment for a day or two, kind of regrouping, thinking what the hell happened. And then that's when Antler Holst, the filmmaker, hears on the news about the missing audience members and then agrees to do the film with them.
Which, again, is a mood, because, when she called and explained it to him, he's like, I'm uninterested. But he's like, now that it's national, other people are saying that that's just a Black woman that called me. Let me go see what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got this, weirdo artist vibe, too. And he says something like, it's addictive if you're standing on top of the mountain and all eyes are on you. Getting that shot could be what kills you. He says something to that effect, which is odd because that's exactly how he dies, on top of a mountain with everybody watching him trying to get the shot.
Listen.
So their plan is we have our final title card, and this is Jean Jacket, right? We get a bit of a flashback between the brother and sister of when they were kids. She's up looking out the window, looking out at OJ and his dad training a horse named Jean Jacket, and that horse was supposed to be hers. She expresses that dad didn't even think about it. And he says, Dad didn't look up at you, but I knew that you were there. And he does the point at his eyes, point at her, point at his, point at her, like I see you motion, right? Which is really sweet. He sees that was supposed to be his sister's horse, but there's nothing that he can do about it because he's a kid. That'll come into play a little bit later. Holst arrives with an IMAX camera, so it's a hand crank camera, which is not mechanical, so it won't be affected by the alien, which they have now decided to call Jean Jacket, named after this horse, which is cool because it ends up being M who breaks this thing, right? They mention anything that has a spirit can be broken, and Lord, don't I know it.
I remember when I had a spirit.
Oh, it's been a minute. So they've got this elaborate plan. These, think outside of car washes, those like wind dancing things. I'm literally doing the motion on camera right now. You can't see Sharai can. Those wind dancey things in various colors. They've got them set up all throughout their field. The plan is, because it did not like the decoy horse, it spit it back out, and it had flags on it, that they're gonna throw it off by using flags in a different way. These decoy things are going to let them know when it's coming in the sky and where it is. Now, they have discovered that there is one stationary cloud above their house that it stays in. This cloud goes nowhere. It's like it's built itself a nest out of clouds. So that's where it's hiding during the day, which is creepy because that thing's literally 300 feet away from them at all times. They have this elaborate plan set up, and Holt and Angel are on top of a mountain under a tarp, and they're the ones who are going to get this shot. OJ is riding a Bronco, which, can we talk about putting a black man named OJ on a Bronco in a chase scene?
I see you, Jordan Peele. I see you.
I see exactly what you're doing. If it were a white Bronco, it would have been a little too on the nose. And so the plan is to bait this thing. They've discovered you can't look it in the eyes. If you look it in the eye, it's going to eat you, right? Just like a predator, you don't stare them in the eyes. You become submissive, you don't look in the eyes, and then you're not being aggressive toward it. Yeah. M is setting everything up, and this douchebag on a motorcycle zooms in. He pulls up to M in front of the house, and he's like being a tool, asking her all these questions, and she realizes that he's a paparazzi. And she tells him, don't ride that way. Like, don't do it. Go around. She's trying not to let them know that there's an alien, but he catches on and calls her a loser and drives off. Enters the magnetic field where the alien is, and his electric bike stops, and he flies off, and he's injured. He can't get up. OJ goes to help him because he's a hero and a good man. And the guy's begging him, like, did you film that? Get your camera out, man. I need this on film. Like, it's cartoonish how bad this man wants to be filmed and how bad he wants to film what's going on.
It's cartoonish, but it's also very much today's culture, because again, you have people who are willing to risk life and limb to get the shot of them in front of this wild animal or in front of them doing this dangerous thing. Like, there are so many videos of people's last moments because they're like, oh, I gotta get this camera shot. And it's like, I'd rather you be safe.
Yeah.
I'd rather you survive.
Or videos of people dying and someone videotaping it.
Oh my God,
So
those send me.
yeah.
It's like, you could intervene. You could save a life. I forgot her name. There was that one girl who talked her boyfriend into committing suicide so she could yeah. No, this is the world we live in where like people they've lost their moral compasses for the sake of like being famous for 5 seconds on Twitter or TikTok, and it's appalling. And so like when she was like, it's TMZ, I'm like, oh, we know who this is.
But you said it right before when you called it a thesis moment. Like, that's it. It's really kind of telling us exactly what we need to know about what point Jordan's making with this movie. So the guy has like a reflective helmet with a circle on it that looks like an eye, and we all know that now that's going to piss off the creature. So the plan's not going as it was supposed to, but it's happening in real time now anyway. They got to go with it. The creature comes and sucks the guy up. OJ doesn't look at it and kind of gets away. And now the plan is in motion, whether they're ready or not. Mm-hmm. And he's riding on a horse. And so he's riding, he pulls up his hoodie and he's got what looks like two eyes on it. So now Jean Jacket is coming after him. And it's a great shot of him on this horse, the creature behind him. Jordan made a point of saying we don't see Black people in cowboy movies ever, right? He referenced one film that's, I guess, very famous. I can't remember the name of it. That's old, that featured Black people. But like,
yeah,
it was a part of history. There were Black cowboys. We just don't know that because Hollywood never made movies about them.
That's the thing with erasure is that like we've been around forever because like we were around here forever ago, but we don't talk about it. And so like you have all these like war movies and it's like an all white cast, like but like where are the Black people you forced to like also go there?
Well, they were in the front lines, so they are the ones that got shot first.
Yes.
So the movie's not about them.
We're always the most expendable, and so we don't even like, get time in the fucking films, and it's upsetting. And I was really happy to see because, like again, like we have this movie with Daniel Kaluuya on a horse, and we had a movie on Netflix last year with Idris Elba and Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things, which both of them found out they were allergic to horses. That was really funny. But they did this.
Oh no!
Oh no! They're like, it's a Black Western. Of course, we're gonna fucking show up. We're gonna work with each other. Yeah. But like those are the two times I can think of like Black people on horses who are leads in movies. Because I mean, like, you get a couple. Like Morgan Freeman was in The Unforgiven. I think I might be mixing them up because I was a child, but it might have been a different movie. But I think he was in The Unforgiven.
Yeah.
But it was also a Clint Eastwood movie, and we know how Clint Eastwood feels about Black people. So like,
yes, we do.
He was also the lead because we know how Hollywood feels about Clint Eastwood.
Sorry, I don't know who Clint Eastwood is.
I don't know her.
I don't know her.
And so, like, again, we don't get to see ourselves in these situations often. And it's usually the same song and dance over and over and over. John Wayne saved us from the natives. No, that's not history.
No.
Also, John Wayne was an awful person. Please read.
Also, he looked really silly in cowboy costumes. And my mom loved him because her dad loved him. That's why she loved him, you know? But, like, there's nothing believable about him. Like if you look at his films, there's nothing believable that he is someone who could survive in the Wild West.
No, he would do worse than I would, and I am basic, and so like I don't understand. But again, like old Hollywood and like the need to like be there and show up for the cis straight white men who are the worst of the humanity. Because like again, he has a track record for being a racist asshole, but we didn't talk about it until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you couldn't stop your TCM marathon to be like, also he did these things in the real world?
No, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
So he's being chased by Jean Jacket. He lets loose out of a backpack like a small parachute type thing that's attached to this flag bunting, and it flies up into the air, and this freaks Jean Jacket out because it doesn't like the bunting because of the decoy horse from before, right? Mm-hmm. So it flies up into the air and kind of turns off to the side. They're filming this with this turn handle camera. Now, I kind of put this together a little bit. I don't know if it's a real thing. If this is Jordan Peele's Jaws and the filmmaker is like the Quinn character on the boat, right? Mm-hmm. Then him reeling that camera while Jean Jacket is shooting up out of the dust like that is almost like him with a fishing rod.
Yes.
Does that track?
I saw that because I was like, this is definitely a Spielberg era, and I feel like this is Jaws. And we need the proof because again, like this is their livelihood. This is all they have and own. These are all their possessions. Like for a couple of days, like they are wearing angels' clothes, they're eating the angels' food, like they're worried about their horse because they're horse people. You have to go back, but also like when you go back, it's waiting for you, and no one's gonna help because you're two Black people saying this thing is happening.
Right. Yeah. I also noticed, Steven Spielberg, his movies are often looking up, like in Close Encounters. He's got this inspirational looking up at the sky thing. In this one, it's people looking down. That, that you're looking down away from this thing that's in the sky.
Yeah, which I love for so many reasons. And I've not figured out how to articulate it specifically, but I do feel like it is something to do with the fact that like Black people have to navigate these spaces, and so you can't ever just be like your full self. You can't ever just be like, "Hi, this is me." Eye contact. I'm having a reaction to this because you're angry or you're loud, and so it's like keep it quiet, don't upset it. And also, Jean Jacket's white, which I can't let that go.
No, yeah, of
giant
course.
white thing in the sky who's like oppressing them and making them look down and move around it, and it's moving,
keeping him in bars in that scene.
Yes. So there's a lot to play with here. And again, I've seen this movie 4 times and I've not been able to articulate it yet, but it's there. Like, again, Jordan Peele is giving us the good word, and I think a lot of people just don't want it because he's not spoon feeding it to us. He's like, you have to like, do a little bit of digging, just a little bit. And they're like, no. Yeah.
Well, this movie is you can't leave the movie and not see some of this, and it's the right amount of approachable to everybody and incredibly deep and intelligent and impactful. All right, so the film director, Antler, looks at the sky and realizes it's almost magic hour. I can get a better shot of this. And the fucking crazy guy grabs the IMAX camera, runs up the hill, and is going to take a better shot. And he just dies. Like, he completely wastes everybody's... Like, this was a waste of everybody's time. He gets sucked up by Jean Jacket violently. Yeah. And puts Angel in peril. Angel gets wrapped up in a tarp, and he kind of rolls around in barbed wire, which is actually really smart. He then really wraps himself in the barbed wire because he knows he's going to get sucked up. And when he does, did you notice this? The barbed wire is getting picked off of the fence posts, and it's the tones from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Every time it rips off of a fence post, it's a different. Yeah, it makes up the tones from Close Encounters, which is pretty cool.
That's a fucking.
So then, that barbed wire inside a Jean Jacket, he gets spit out, and his life is saved. Which, like you said, he did talk Jordan into keeping him around in hopes that there's a sequel.
There needs to be. Like, I don't know the vision yet. I got 2 theories, and I want to know. But also, I'm gonna pay you anyways. Just put the movie out. Put it out. I'll show up.
We're gonna show up. We're gonna show up every time.
Every time.
All right, so now we're at a point where M is on one side of the field and OJ is on the other. And with this barbed wire inside a Jean Jacket, when he spits it out, when it spits the barbed wire and Angel out, it starts to unfurl. Like it's injured and it's pissed. And so it unfolds itself and starts to become this. It was inspired by like jellyfish and octopus, or octopuses is the plural, I learned, and squid and like is it a jackfish or a ghostfish? Like a deep sea ugly creature.
I just love that it tried to eat a person, and when it didn't go its way, it got angry, because that again is systematic racism.
Sure.
It's like, how dare you rebel against me? More oppressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. A review I read just talked about how this thing comes from the sky, and that just proves the universality of racism.
Listen, I would love to be like, other planets could be cool, but it's going to be the same shit. Like, we know this.
Yeah. So this thing also starts to take on a form. It's a little inspired by what the Bible describes angels as actually looking like, right? Which is weird and fucked up. The angels in the Bible are not what people put on top of their Christmas tree. They got eyes all over the place and mouths all over the place. They are weird as hell. Now, this movie has started with a Bible verse. It's Nahum 3:6. I will cast abominable filth upon you, make you vile, and make you a spectacle, which is just driving home the point of this. It's also kind of tying to this, what angels are described as, thing. So this creature has the ability, it's billowy, it's open, whatever it's, not its head, it's not a creature like anything we understand, right? But whatever its face would be is able to kind of switch from one side of it to the other. So it's able to like look at M, who's standing next to that electric motorbike, and she can't get it started because the creature's right next to her. And then behind it, it can switch back and see OJ on the horse. And he decides to sacrifice himself and get on that horse and draw the creature away from her and give her an Oscar nomination for this, when she's like, come on, no, it's like, don't do it. But he does it. And when she can get that motorcycle started, she jumps on it and starts going, and Jean Jacket starts coming after her, and it moves real quickly, almost like it can sail on the wind now that it's got these billowy, like, I'm moving my arms around weirdly again.
It's got sails, like Jean Jacket.
It's got sails. Yeah. Yes, exactly right. She rides through Jupiter's Claim, the theme park, through crime scene tape. So now that's streaming behind her, almost like those flags were, right? And she does it a couple times, so it's building up. And she's riding, and then she does, it's called the Akita stop on the motorcycle. Akita is a movie from the 80s. It's one of Jordan Peele's favorite action films. And it's basically like a slide on the motorcycle, and she looks so fucking cool doing it.
So cool. So damn cool.
Because how often do we see a black woman on a motorcycle looking awesome?
Action figure. I want Keke Palmer on a motorcycle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
I said another credit card. The one I didn't take to London is fine. Let's do it. Yep.
She dismounts and starts running around. There is a giant inflatable Ricky Jupe balloon, basically, right? So now we are going back to the balloon that caused Gordy the chimp to become violent, right? This is a different balloon. Massive, like the size of a house. And she says, this is going to fuck you up. And she untethers it, and it starts to float up into the sky. Jean Jacket sees it because it's got streamers coming off of it, and he goes after it. Mm-hmm. At the same time, she has gone back to this Winking Well photo op from the beginning of the movie. There's coins all over the place because this thing shits money. And so she's taking coins and she's trying to line up so that when Jupe swoops over it, she can get a shot. And what's really cool is she's getting closer and closer. She's got it, she's taking picture after picture. Magic hour happens at the exact moment when this creature swoops over to attack this balloon, and she gets the shot, the Oprah shot, and it looks fucking amazing. And then it bites the balloon and it explodes. And her reaction is amazing. Again, another fucking solid moment. You think of these moments, like Julia Roberts got a lot of praise in, was it the Pelican Brief? For a scene where she's looking at an explosion, but behind the scenes, it's just her looking at a bunch of flashing lights, but her reaction is so real, which I'm like, it's called, like, it's acting. That's her job. Why are you worshiping her so much for it?
Listen.
But also, like, I'm sure it's not easy. I've never had to react to something like that. But point is, Keke sells it. You think she's really looking at a giant extraterrestrial exploding because it ate a cowboy balloon.
If genre was taken seriously at award shows, Keke would be nominated for so many awards this upcoming season. But it's not,
Agreed.
Which is an ongoing battle because, like, we have people who are turning out performances. Like, Toni Collette in Hereditary.
Yep. This comes up once a week on my show. Like, Toni Collette in Hereditary, and now Mia Goth in Pearl, and now Keke Palmer in Nope.
Listen.
Get them nominated.
Justice for all three. I've not even seen Pearl yet, but from what I've heard, justice for all three.
Yeah. I need to know what you think of Pearl. All right, so Keke's got the money shot, right?
Yeah.
The dust is starting to settle, and then just outside of the park, we see OJ on the horse, and he has survived the ordeal.
That makes sense.
And it's a gorgeous moment. It's just, now she's been through hell, but now she really can enjoy the fame she's about to get,
People try to take that moment away from me all the time. They're like, she was just seeing him because she missed her brother. I'm like, no. He survived. Because, again, he knows how to handle predators. Like, he was driving away from her, but he also knows, and he has his protective gear and shit. Like, he's gonna be fine. This is not his first rodeo. Like, he's gonna be fine.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about him not being there. Let me think on it for a sec. Because he's outside of the park on purpose. Oh, no. And there's a sign over him that says out yonder, like the exit to the park. Oh, no. Was he not there?
I think
he's there.
I think he was. I think he survived. I think she's seen her brother because, after, she got the shot, she was like, okay, where are my people? Where's Angel? Where's OJ? Because we did it. We got it. Who's all with me? And her brother rides up. And I think that is really him. Because, again, he knew how to handle it, which is why he was the bait. Because, this is not his first rodeo. And so, of course, he's like, we're going to draw it away and look away. We're going to be fine. Um,
Yeah,
I think he's there. I think that it's just like a really cool image to have it all and leave it a little ambiguous because people love an ambiguous
totally.
ending. But I think OJ's alive, and we'll see in the sequel that we need to have.
Yeah. I had not even thought about a sequel until I read recently that he has hinted at it. And so that is Nope. We
Yes,
did it.
we
We
did
talked
it!
about Nope.
Yay!
We have a rating system on the Rick or Treat Horrorcast. A movie is either a trick, which means it was just okay, or it's a treat, which means you loved it, or it's a smell my feet, which means it sucked. Sharai?
Oh, this is definitely a treat. It's so many
Yeah.
treats. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Treat, treat, treat. It has that summer blockbuster feel, and again, I just wish it were better received, or it became. It doesn't feel like it's as iconic as it should be.
Right? Which I don't understand because people live for the summer blockbusters. We are in the time of
Yeah,
Marvel movies. I am a Marvel bitch. I'm not knocking Marvel. I wish I could quit it, like I could quit most things. But when the Avengers assemble, I show up.
right. Yeah, we show up for it.
Yeah.
I think also, honestly, it has changed my perception of what a UFO is forever. I will never look at a flying saucer again and not think about this movie. I think it's such a smart idea to make a flying saucer the creature.
Like I think this is the first movie in a very long time that made us actually look up and go, "What's up there?"
Hmm.
Because I mean, Alien
Right.
did it in its time, obviously, and even on top of this pandemic, it was like, "Are these real aliens?" And we were all like, "We have other problems. If the aliens want us, let them have us. We have to
Yeah,
focus on
take
COVID.
me, please. I'm over it.
Where's our
Do you
other
believe in
siblings?"
aliens? Do
I
you believe in aliens?
I go back and forth. I've seen some weird shit, not up in the sky, and so I don't want to rule anything out. But that always felt like it was too far fetched. But also, there's a whole universe out there and other planets. And I
Yeah.
think I think it's a very privileged thing to be like, we're the only planet that's doing anything. I feel like that's a mistake.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I guess I do.
I never did. I never did. And then I'm going to sound crazy. I saw a UFO in Pennsylvania.
I mean, Pennsylvania,
With,
yeah. I would.
without a doubt, I believe. Yeah, I fully believe that's what I saw. And it was in an area where a lot of UFO sightings happen. And it was just during the day, I was laying on my back on a rock and looking up, and this white, like, circle, it sounds so stupid, I know, a white circle, like, with kind of the back part of it, it was moving forward, so what would be the back became translucent and kind of disappeared,
Oh,
and it kind of came into view and then it vanished, and there was not a cloud in the sky, so it's not like something that flew through clouds. It couldn't,
yeah.
I don't know.
That would mess me up. Yeah,
Oh,
no.
it did. It did, and everybody thought I was crazy, but I know what I saw. And
Look, we see a lot of unexplainable things in our lives if we like really like look and listen.
yeah,
And again, I've seen them on this level. I've never been underwater or in the sky to see the things, but like I've seen enough
right,
things to be like something else is happening. Whether it's a different plane, different realm, I don't know. But like
yeah.
something did that to that thing that just fell off of that whatever the fuck it was.
Well, and like you said, it's a privileged idea to think we're the only ones out there.
Yeah,
It's just damn foolish
it
to
is.
think that we know everything,
Yeah, like
right? If there is something out there, I picture it more like this creature than like computers with like aliens with computers and like probes and stuff. Like I feel like it would, or like the xenomorph, just this creature that it grows or evolves organically in its environment, and we have no way of understanding it because. Oh, I want to say one last thing about the design of Jean Jacket. Its green flashing kind of face or whatever is like the shutter of a camera.
yes,
Also,
yes.
which I wanted to mention that too.
I love that because, like, a lot of the times when you go to like concerts and things, it's people taking pictures of people taking pictures of them.
Yeah.
Because again, like,
Yeah.
we have become so connected to our phones. Like, my phone is here now, and I was messaging people, "Hey, I'm gonna be late to the thing we're doing. It's cool." Because how dare we put our phones away and just focus for 5 minutes at a time?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I think we have covered Nope, and I thank you so much for taking your time and doing this today with me. My God, we went way over time, but I could talk to you all day.
Same.
Uh,
And Drake deserves, to be honest. Like, give him
it's
all the
it's
5-hour podcasts. Like, let's go.
you're right. You're right. I will always talk about Jordan. Where can my listeners stalk you?
Ooh. You can find me at Miss Sharai on Twitter and Instagram for my personal shenanigans. And it also leads you into the gateway of all of my podcasts and all of my like Dress Central articles. But if you're like, I don't like her, but I might want to know about these podcasts, you can find Nightmare on Fear Street at Nightmare Fierce on Twitter and Nightmare on Fear Street on Instagram. And you can find Blurty Massacre at Blurty Massacre on both. The audio tapes is a little bit more tricky because it's on Anatomy of a Scream Pod Squad, and they don't have a dedicated feed to each thing. But if you look up Anatomy of a Scream Pod Squad, you will find the alter tapes, and you can get into the shorts with us on alter.
So cool. Everybody, please check these podcasts out. Follow and stalk Sharai. She's a really interesting and smart and just a fun person to have in your life. And I'm really glad that we got this time to have a conversation about this movie. If you want to follow the podcast, it is at Rick or Treat Pod on Instagram. And me, Ricky, your host, is at Rick, the letter R, Treat on Instagram. And on Letterboxd, I am Rick or Treat. And that's the show. Join us next week as I talk about Dario Argento's Suspiria with a couple of people that I met at the live screening a couple weeks ago.
It's so good. It's so good.
So good. I'm wearing the t-shirt right now. All right. Later, spookies.